Hello everyone, welcome back again. I am your primary lecturer for TPS 3703 and TPS 3704, Dr. Safura Meeran. I will now start with assignment 2, which will prepare you for doing your teaching practice. And remember, you have already or supposed to have already completed your assignment 1, which was due on the 30th of April. Thank you. This video will help you for both modules, TPS 3703 and TPS 3704, assignment 2. As you know, we are using the same template, so therefore I will have one video for both. The requirements for assignment 2 is as follows. You need 5 observations, all right? Day 1 is a general observation. Day 2 to 4 is specific observations in one FET subject specialization per module. So in TPS 3703, let's say you are doing geography, you cannot do geography for TPS 3704. You'll have to look for your next subject specialization, which you take into the 3rd year, which could be perhaps English. So we don't want to see you using the same subject in both. You have 2 separate FET subject specializations, as I have told you. So therefore, I had many questions where you asked me, but we're using the same template. Won't the assignments be the same? No, they would not be the same because you are using 2 different subject specializations. Assignment 2 is to be submitted after the 1st week of teaching practice. So your observations are to be done in the 1st week. And as soon as it is done, you are supposed to submit your assignment 2 via the MyUNISA portal. The final date for this submission is the 31st of August 2021. But we ask you not to wait in your teaching practice. I will go through the questions. We'll start with day 1 general observations. For day 1 general observation, make sure you give me the date because I want to see 5 dates that are consecutive, one after the other for the 5 days. And grades. Remember, TPS 3703 and TPS 3704 are FET subject specializations. And you have to do them in grade 10 to 12, not in the senior phase. All right. Then they ask you for the school enrollment, which is the number of boys and girls, and then the entire school enrollment of boys and girls together. Right. You will get all this information from the school secretary. You will know the name of the school, the contact details, the email address, a category. You need to tell me whether this is a public school, an independent school, an ex-model C school, is it a special school, an LSEN school. You need to give me the category of what it is. Then we go to quintile ranking. Now, quintile ranking is from quintile 1 to 5, all right, where quintile 1 is the lowest, the very poorest of schools, and quintile 5 are the richest schools, and that schools that can cater for themselves, usually the ex-model C schools, and many public schools also fall under these domains. So if you choose quintile 5, for example, you must explain why the school falls under this quintile. So you can say they have enough resources, there's a road, tar road going to the school, and they have toilets, they have separate toilets for boys and girls, and so on, to show that it belongs to quintile 5. The MS number, the examination number, remember it's an FET module, so get me the examination number, the name of the principal, all of this you get from the school secretary. The name of the SGB chairperson, the name of the ward in the circuit, the district, the region, the province, and the country. Remember, some of you may not be doing your teaching practice here in South Africa, so you will choose a country that you're doing maybe within Africa or internationally. Number 14, describe or make a drawing of the classroom where observation takes place. You must show me in your drawing or the picture that you take off your classroom. You must show me the tables, the desk arrangement, the cupboards, the teaching aids, the walls, everything. All right, you can make a lovely drawing or you can take a picture, whatever suits you. Number 15, describe the seating arrangement of the classroom with regards to grouping. So you get children that are sitting on their own. So you say they sit singly, or you could say they're sitting with somebody else in pairs, or they're sitting in groups of 3 or 4. You will choose by looking at and observing what you're seeing to tell me number 15. Number 16, discuss whether the classroom is conducive to learning. So you must tell me, what is the atmosphere? Are children or learners doing their own thing? Are they busy the atmosphere in the classroom totally conducive to the teacher, where they're listening and taking part in the lesson? Are they answering questions? Is there a positive mood where they all are happy to learn? So you make your choice and you give me your answer. Number 17, outline how discipline is managed in the classroom. How do the learners behave? Do they exhibit good behavior? Does a teacher reprimand them often if they're very noisy? How do the learners react to the teacher? Are they happy with the teacher, or do they insult the teacher? Is the teacher very strict, or the teacher wants this atmosphere of good teaching and learning, and uses good words to encourage learners and motivate them to be part of the lesson? Number 18, elaborate on contextual factors, internal and external influences which interrupt the lessons. Now, you would find sometimes in your classroom somebody knocking at your door. That will be external influences where there's disturbances on the lesson. Or you can hear loud noises outside, or when children go on a certain breaks where you are not on break, maybe you don't go during the same time. Those are external influences which influence how the lesson is being taught in the classroom. Internal influences can be when children are busy talking while the lesson is continuing, or there are children that are digging and poking each other rather than listening to the lesson, or the teacher's cell phone is ringing and it disturbs the lesson. So these are internal influences. Number 19, discuss how time is managed with regards to the length of lessons, start and finish of periods, bells, and after break periods. So you must tell me, does a lesson start on time? Do teachers keep within the time? Does it end on time? What time are the breaks? Is there lots of disturbances? Is the teacher able to complete on time? Does the teacher keep within the time period in completing the lesson? Finally, number 20, and remember this is for your general observation, describe the relationships between learners themselves and between the teacher and the learners. Are they positive or negative? So is there a good relationship where learners want to learn and the teachers want to motivate and encourage learners? Or do the learners call each other names and disturb the lesson? Or is the teacher just doing a teacher-centered lesson and learners are just not listening? So you got to describe this. Now, can you see you've got till number 20? And so if it's till number 20, that's 20 marks. So it's 1 mark per question. Now we go to day 2 to 4. You'll find that for day 2 to 4, you have the same thing. In other words, you have a classroom observation and learner observation sheet. So these are 20 marks each. Classroom observation is 10 marks and learner observation is 10 marks, which makes 20 marks. And so day 2 to 4 will be 20 times 4, which is 80. And the general observation is 20. So the total assignment is 100. So let us go now to day 2 to 4, all right? And then I want the day of observation, which will be the next day. If it was 12, this one will be 13th of April, all right? And remember, grades 10 to 12, and remember subject, 1 subject. So if it's English, I want English in day 3, 2, 3, and 4, right? So it will be 2, 3, 4 will be English. So it's supposed to actually be day 2 to 5. So there's a mistake on my page. So it's days 2 to 5, not days 2 to 4. Okay. So I want 4 lesson plans. 4 observations only in English. Let's go to number 1. Number 1. Provide evidence that the lesson was planned and prepared in a school template. All right. For this one, you can scan the lesson plan that the teacher used and add this in here. Okay. Number 2, outline whether the activities of the lessons presented were clear, logical, and showed a sequence with particular reference to the subject that is being taught. So here I will be able to gauge if you sat in an English lesson. I don't want a general observation. I want the activities in an English lesson. So how did the teacher introduce the lesson? What was the background? Perhaps the teacher started with nouns yesterday. So today the teacher will go on to pronouns. And then how does the teacher introduce the lesson? What's the new content? And how does the teacher summarize? So you must use that particular English content area like nouns, or if you do using geography, you can talk about the map work or history or whatever, but I want to see the reference to that content of the grade 10 to 12 subject specialization that you are doing. Number 3, discuss the content knowledge of the particular subject being used in the lesson. So here again, all the content knowledge of, let's say you're doing geography and you're doing map work, what is the content knowledge for this particular subject that they're using? What are the terminology that they're using? Explain the content that's used towards understanding what you are doing. How does the teacher explain what is being done? Number 4, discuss whether resources, audiovisual, printed media were used effectively and efficiently. Even here, if they use printed media, tell me what it was about. If they use printed media of verbs, I want to know the printed media were worksheets on verbs, which the teacher used and gave learners to fill in. All right. Number 5, identify the style of teaching, teaching methods, teaching strategies. So what is a style of teaching? Does the teacher stand in front and deliver the lesson and have questions and answers? That's a teacher-centered one. Are they doing group work where learners are working together in groups and collaborating, right? Or are they doing a project-based work where they are doing research and they're working in groups to work? Are they doing oral work where the teacher is directing the lesson and students come out and present? So you need to tell me what strategies are used. If you don't understand what strategies or methods are, please look on the net and find out more, so you can identify it when the teachers are teaching. Number 6, describe the types of questions posed to learners. So here I want to know the level of difficulty. Does the teacher engage in easy questions like list or name, and then go on to the more difficult ones like describe, analyze? So here we want to see whether the teacher is taking into account all the learners in the classroom and meeting all the diversity of learners in the classroom, the weaker and the brighter learners. Number 7, identify the types of assessment activities that were conducted. Did they do a classroom exercise? Did they do oral assessment? Did they do a written exam or written assessment? Did they do a peer assessment, for example, where there was a debate that's going on and there were peers that are assessing the other peers? So you need to tell me what type of assessment was carried out. Number 8, describe which alternative enrichment and remedial activities for diverse learners were accommodated in this lesson. I want to see this. I want to see if all learners were accommodated. Did the teacher have different activities for the weaker learners so they can catch up? Or where did she have or he have activities where to keep these brighter learners occupied while she worked or he worked with the weaker learners? So tell me what was used. Even the types of questions you can bring this into this question. Number 9, explain how aims and objectives of the lessons were achieved. So yeah, if the lesson was on map work, did the teacher achieve that objective? Did the learners learn about map work and how to go from A to B and how to find out about topical maps, for example? So you need to tell me here, explain how it was achieved, that they learned that they could go from A to B. So you need to explain. Number 10, do learners move to other classes or do teachers rotate between classes? Is it working effectively? So here you're going to explain whether learners move from class to class. I think that generally happens in the FET and the way the teacher stays in one class. Or do the teacher move from class to class and the learners stay in one class? So it will say, I know if learners move, it can be more noisier. So you must tell me what happens in the school and explain how it is done. And as you can see, 1 times 10, that's 10 marks. So if it is 10 marks, that means 1 mark per question. We now go on to the next part, which is the learner observation form. All right. And here you will see marks within the brackets. And it's also 10 marks. Okay. For the first one, classroom activities. Discuss what activities were learners involved or exposed to. Were they involved in a debate? Were they involved in working together on a map? Were they involved in looking at history books where they found research relevant to history? So you're going to tell me what activities, did they do a classroom exercise prompted by the teacher? All right, so you got to explain that. If you look at the next one, which is learner participation, you will see 2 marks, okay? Now the 2 marks means you got to state whether learners participated during the lesson. You got to say yes or no, and you'll get 1 mark for that. And the second mark will go to justify your answer. So if the learners participated in the lesson, so you say yes, they were able to answer the questions and they were very enthusiastic about picking up their hands and being part of the lesson. Or if they did not participate in the lesson, you say so and say, no, they're busy doing their own thing and not listening. And the teacher had to keep on directing her attention or his attention to them and they wouldn't listen. The next one is the classroom environment. Again, you can see 2 marks. Was the learning space conducive to learning? Here again, it's a yes and no. So you must tell me whether it was conducive to learning. You say yes or no. And then you must support your answer. All right. Whether learners were engaged in learning and wanted to learn and so on. If it was yes, and if it was no, they were not interested in the lesson at all. Okay. Then we go on to the next part of the learner observation sheet. And here we look at inclusivity, which is 2 marks. Learners have different learning abilities. Describe how all learners were accommodated during the lesson. Now you tell me, how did the teacher use difficult questions and then lower level questions to accommodate all learners? Did she have different activities or did he have different activities for them? How were all learners? Did they have a chart that was nice and colorful for visual learners? Did she have music? So to accommodate those auditory learners who prefer listening rather than watching. Okay. Assessment. Elaborate on the new skills and knowledge learned from the lesson. All right. So what did they learn? What was new that they learned in that lesson? And reflection, and this is all about you giving me your reflection. What have you learned from the lesson as a student teacher? All right. What could you have improved? Or what you found that was so creative and you enjoyed so much. And then you will find that this is 10 marks. So 10 for classroom observation and 10 for learner observation makes 20 marks. And then that gives you the total for day 2. Remember, day 3 will be another 20, day 4 another 20, and day 5 another 20. All right. And the total marks is 100%. And remember, you have 2 assignments, assignment 1 and assignment 2. Assignment 1 is which is 4% of the total module, and assignment 2 is 16% of the total module. Thank you so much.